Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's third session. Today's topic is going to be spirituality, awakening, remembering the true self. So last time we were introduced to what we are not. So today we're going to take a look into some more of ourself and what we can use as permission slips to get ourselves uncovered, so to say. Here's our disclaimer for today. Please remember, consult qualified professionals for any serious issues you have. I encourage everyone to not just rely on me for their self-care, but have many sources. As always, it's best to come into these sessions with an open mind and heart. Kind of think of yourself as a blank slate. There's At the moment in our progress, we were saying, what can we know? Well, now we could say, I am, unquestionably. I exist. Your experience is valid. For those on YouTube that are not in the WhatsApp, I'll hold this up for a couple seconds. You can pause the screen. These are updates and invitations I gave to the chat to have extra practice and knowledge provided during the week. And every week we'll try to have some progress recognitions from the people in the meeting. If anybody has anything they would like to share about their progress for the week, you can go ahead and feel free to unmute and let us know anything you are proud of or anything you experienced that was new to you. All right, I'll go ahead and share one that was shared with me earlier this week. One of my students was trying to meditate the other day, but was finding it difficult to focus. They had said there were things bothering them. They were letting their quote unquote ADHD get the best of them. But I went ahead and reminded them that doing the practice is the goal, not so much what it looks like. And then they went on to share that they had a couple insights during during their meditation that were really important for them. So I said, "Oh yeah, that sounds like you got a good amount of, let's say, worth out of that meditation. It worked for them, even though it didn't look like what they expected. So the idea is that we would like to do our practices, but not be attached to what they should look like or what we think they should look like. They can still provide value and growth for us, even if it appears to be quote unquote wrong. So that was a good lesson for them and one that we can all use. So from last week, we got an understanding of what we are not, and that we have received understanding that we can use permission slips to help us. So let's get started. But first, opening meditation. Going into the meditation, I'd like you guys to visualize a space that feels safe and relaxing. And if you're getting comfortable with meditation, you can bring yourself back to that previous state by remembering that state to help you really get grounded. So I'll start playing the music now. Let me know if there's any issues with the music. And let's go ahead and begin by settling in. Sit in a way if it feels upright, supported. Feet flat if you're seated, hands rested on your lap or by your sides. You may also choose to lay down if that's comfortable for you. When you're ready, allow your eyes to close or soften your gaze on the image on your screen. We're going to take a few moments to simply return to the body, to the breath, and to now. There is only the here and now. Just go ahead and notice your breath without needing to change it. Just observe the natural rhythm of your inhale and your exhale. Now let's go ahead and gently deepen the breath. Take a nice long inhale and exhale. Breathe in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Let's take a few more deep breaths. Each breath out is a quiet signal to your body. We're safe and we're here. Let your awareness move slowly down your body, starting at the top of your head. Let's go and scan your forehead, your eyebrows, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Notice if you have any tension here, allow it to be released. Let's go down your arms and your hands. Make sure you're allowing them to lay where they are. Let's go down to your chest and belly. Allow them to relax, rise and fall with your breath. Down to your hips and your thighs, your knees, your calves, ankles, and feet resting against the floor or your chair. Feel the whole body as one, breathing, here and settled, supported. Take a couple more breaths. And allow yourself to return back in a calm and centered state. And we'll go ahead and get started with the rest of the session. Okay, so what are some of the best methods to go ahead and start tackling what is not us? start addressing the main ones that we'd like to focus on is first off, letting go of what is not you. This is in some sort of order of the best way to go ahead about tackling these. Next is doing what you love, which I'm sure everybody's heard at some point, but do we actually follow this advice? And what does this advice entail? 3, being present. A lot of issues arise just from being stuck in the past or being afraid of the future. And if you just bring yourself to the present, you're no longer feeding the energy of the past and the future, but bring it to the now. Awareness practices, being aware of yourself, your true self. And then finally, actually being your true self, being an authenticity, which might seem kind of circular. Remember your true self by being your true self. Yep, that's how it works. We have a quote here from Oscar Wilde. Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. We are here to be our true selves. We act as puzzle pieces to the whole. And if you're not being your puzzle piece, you're going to find friction. The puzzle piece will seem like it won't fit in. So this brings us into the concept of healing. So here's some points about healing we want to keep in mind. Basically, healing equals change. We want to detach ourselves from any negative thoughts or definitions of what healing means. If you do a little bit of a introspective dive, you'll understand that healing means there's something to heal. And some people can attribute that to there being something wrong with them or that something's off. But from a higher perspective, you are perfect and things are unfolding in the right timing. You may be experiencing things you don't prefer, and if you wish to change those, then healing involves the paths and actions taken to achieve the change. So we want to sort of reframe healing from there's something wrong with me, I need to heal, to there's something I don't prefer about my experience that I wish to change. So in that context, that's what we'll use healing. That's the definition we'll use for healing. We need to understand that you are not broken. Healing is just returning and remembering who you are. Remember, perfection is not the goal. You are perfect from a higher perspective, being yourself, being the true you. And anything that is on top of that is also perfect from the higher perspective. It's just in the timing. Healing is not linear. There's a lot of detrimental negative beliefs held around what healing should look like. People expect it to be a linear slope, but it's more like peaks and valleys that over time build up your baseline, your average state. Many people don't understand that the valleys are necessary for the most part. When you make an advancement, sometimes to integrate that fully, you have to experience a valley. That's depends on the person, but don't freak out when if you feel like you've done a lot of work and you've been feeling good for a while, that you all of a sudden have a big dip in mood or etc. It's natural. Don't attach your overall progress to a short-term experience. Healing is not all sunshine and rainbows. discomfort will happen, but it's not the enemy. Overall, we want to align ourselves with the thought that there are no enemies. In your overall view of existence and within yourself. Right? We aren't trying to fight our inner selves, we're trying to love our inner selves. Negative experiences are signposts that are trying to show you misalignment. So a lot of the issues people have getting into healing is that when they see or feel something negative within them, they try to avoid it. They're afraid of it. A lot of healing is facing the things you're afraid of within you, afraid to face, and being with those. They are trying to show you something that's misaligned within yourself. So, for example, anger tends to show you where you're being unjustly treated or etc., according to your beliefs. So instead of feeling that anger is something negative, we want to be able to use anger to show us our beliefs and what can be aligned within ourselves to eventually dissipate that sort of anger. When we're doing healing, we have to remember the nervous system and the physiological ideas that are included. So eventually we'll have a nervous system complete slide, complete deck to go over what's going on physiologically when we have all these issues going on and why it's important to be in a relaxed state when you're doing the work. If you're not in a relaxed state, you really can't make any meaningful progress. You're going to be in the survival mode and you need to be in the rest and digest mode. And one of the biggest things we have to remember is you need to be honest with yourself. And there will be times when the negative ego will just be on the front lines of healing and provide a lot of blocks. One of the biggest ones is if you're asked a question, just automatically respond with, I don't know. You have to be willing to recognize that as negative ego because we do have the answers within us, and the negative ego is trying to prevent you from reaching those because it knows underneath that if it allows you to address all these uh, negative parts within you, that it threatens its existence. So you need to be honest in whether the thoughts you're having are coming from the true self or some negative part of yourself. You need to have grace with yourself. This means that you need to show yourself compassion, patience, love, and give yourself the time that is needed in the moment. Don't beat yourself up when you're doing practices and it seems like there's no progress. There's always progress. You just may not be seeing it. You might not be able to recognize it in the moment, but there's always something when you're doing work that is improving. And then stay in the idea of love, showing yourself love, loving yourself, loving the parts, the negative ego, all those parts. The goal is not to fight them or treat them as enemies, right? Like I said, but to integrate them, which is a loving practice. So why are we focusing on clearing out what is not us first? Well, this requires a bit of understanding of how some of your reality is structured. If you remember from last time, I sort of slipped in that you create your reality. We'll get into this more in later slides. For right now, a general understanding of this will suffice. The structures that have built up over your life on top of your true self can create the experience of disconnection, blocks, lack of control, emotional spiraling, negative experiences, etc. So this is part of creating your reality. Structures that you've created affect your creation of reality. So in a sense, the minimum that would be needed to address all the false structures within you is to simply let something go. It can be that simple. However, we tend to have attachments which prevent this, that come from these structures. To this effect, we tend to not be driven to change until a significant event forces us to. This can be something like trauma or a major life event like losing your job or something that, okay, I can't be comfortable anymore. I have to change to do something. So we kind of want to address the negative parts of ourselves so that we can allow us to change all the time to better ourselves instead of waiting for something significant to force us to change. The hardest thing to be is not yourself. I said that a bit earlier. There's an understanding that pain and suffering arise from not being yourself, from there being resistance to reality. The false structures are created by the physical self as responses to situations that were not preferred, and it took upon itself an attempt to prevent that from happening again in the future. So basically, the understanding is that parts of you are created in order to protect yourself. An example is if you were yelled at growing up for, say, being loud, you may have felt hurt and you build up some guilt. Part of yourself was then created to hold you back from being loud so that you don't experience that hurt again. So then going forward, you tend to be a shy person that holds back from what they really want to participate in or experience. And that is a misalignment created that is no longer part of your true self. So this is created out of love. That part of yourself is trying to prevent further hurt, but their actions may not be what you prefer, which is why we would say we want to heal that part of ourselves to align it back with our true self. One important topic to understand is we don't see reality how it is, we see it how we are. So if we have a lot of false structures, we're going to be seeing a lot of illusion in our lives, a lot of misrepresented reality. Okay, so for all the different ways that we can integrate parts of ourselves that are misaligned, typically follow this sort of pattern. Number one is awareness. You can't work on something you are unaware of. So we want to be able to notice our emotions, our triggers, patterns, habits, feelings, so that we can address them. Next step is we want to witness without judgment. Become familiar with why we're experiencing these and stay with the experience like you would a friend in pain. Don't attach with story, shame, or trying to rush it. Reside in curiosity and presence. It's okay that it's there. Next, you want to feel it fully if there's anything associated with it emotionally. Integration requires digestion, not avoidance. You want connection. You want to drop from the head, the ego mind, down into the body, the heart mind, and face the emotions related to it. Next, you want to got to notice that we're close on time, so just remember this will cut off and just go ahead and rejoin once it does so. So next part is dialogue or listening to the part. Parts may be things like your inner child, critic, or shadow. Have some curiosity about why it's there. Ask why it's there. And when you're having an honest attempt to listen, you'll get the answers. Next, you want to give it what it needs or need it in the moment. Allow it to exist without existence. Integration happens not when something goes away, but when it's seen and welcomed. Right? So we're not trying to quote unquote kill or be freed from this. We were trying to bring it back to our true selves. Next, reframe or update it from the understanding of where it came from. Learn where to take it to align. So say your negative belief is, I can't do something. And then a reframing is, I'm not currently practiced on this thing, but if I practice it, I would be able to do it. And then the updated belief is it true now? What is the new truth? I can do it somewhat. And then you can continue improving that belief from the negative, I can't do it, to the positive, I can do it. Next is embodiment through action. Make sure that you live as if it is true. So integration is complete when the new truth is lived and experienced. That moves us out of belief into knowing. So remember that the idea of belief is that there's still something unexperienced in the definition of belief. And we want to move that to knowing for all that we experience. And then lastly, repeat when needed. Don't be surprised if you thought you've taken care of a negative belief or structure and then something else brings up the same structure. Things may be cyclical or have many layers to them. So it's not failure to address the original structure or starting over. It's just a new experience. Every round brings more coherence, truth, and peace. So that's another thing about healing. When we heal, we expect everything to be healed, but it may just be a certain layer of what we were targeting. Don't be dismayed by seeing it's still there in another form. It's just part of the experience. So now we'll get into the structures that we form. This is not a full list of the structures, but a list of the main structures. One of the biggest ones is beliefs that reside in your conscious and unconscious. Beliefs filter the communication from your higher self. They're involved in the creation of your reality and alter your perceptions, leading to thoughts, emotions, and feelings. If you've built your physical personality off of beliefs that don't align with your true self, the effectiveness of the other actions will most likely be hindered. So, beliefs are mental agreements that shape perception, emotion, and behavior, but they are not you. They are filters, not essence. Beliefs are part of what determines how your creation is directed. This sort of segues into the idea of manifestation. The idea being that if we're creating our reality, then we're sort of manifesting all the time. That's sort of what it means to be manifesting. In pop culture spirituality, we tend to have the idea that manifesting is a one-off thing that, oh, I want this, it'll come to me sort of thing. But it's actually, we are manifesting all the time, 100% perfectly. And we need to remember how to direct it if we want things to go a certain way. The effect of clearing one negative belief can be as effective as practicing many affirmations. So the idea here is that negative beliefs are more powerful than a lot of positive beliefs, trying to make more positive beliefs, because the negative beliefs act as blockers and they are self-reinforcing in nature. If a belief still feels threatened on either side, negative or positive, it'll throw reinforcing thoughts and emotions at you to sort of keep itself from being cleared out, from being aligned. So, an example of that is if you're trying to address the negative belief of you're, say, not popular, it'll throw all the ideas at you, all the thoughts and past physical experiences of where you were, say, not picked first for a sport team or always left alone in class, and that will reinforce itself, saying, "Hey, look at all these examples. This is why this is true." And then it'll keep you in that sort of negative cycle. So, some ways to align your beliefs, and these ways to align slides are not comprehensive. They're just some sort of big ones. So first we have belief deconstruction journaling. Your prompt would be, what must I believe to feel this? There's a good book by Byron Katie, 4 questions. The book's called The Work. It poses 4 questions to challenge false identities. There's something called parts work. You want to have a dialogue with the protector holding the belief. The protector is a part of yourself. You can do something called belief excavation. What would I have to believe is true in order to act or feel this way? Therapy. Therapists can act as a part outside of yourself that brings attention to things that you may be not able to see or avoiding. Experience the opposite of the belief. This can immediately disassemble a belief. For the most part, it will shatter a belief unless we have a sense of denial about what was experienced. And then we want to understand that all negative beliefs are false. If you allow yourself to see this absurdity, this is also a way to immediately align a belief with your true self. So next we have thoughts. Thoughts are automatic, patterned, often unoriginal mental contents. They arise in consciousness, but they are not the consciousness. They are the result of held beliefs. So your belief system will generate thoughts throughout the day that are relevant or sometimes unrelevant to what's going on. Thanks everyone for joining back after the timeouts. Go ahead and continue. Thoughts are the result of held beliefs. So as you clear out negative beliefs, interfering thoughts and negative thoughts will also clear up. So some ways to align your thoughts include mindfulness meditation. This can include things like watching thoughts come and go like clouds, or imagining your thoughts as leaves in a stream and watching them float away. You can use labeling practice. Label what you're experiencing, and this creates a sort of separation from that event. This can be emotions as well. Like this is anger. That allows you to sort of separate yourself from the anger and be able to look into it from an objective standpoint. You can do reframing, rewriting. You can replace your recurring distortions with neutral or empowering statements. And you can do focused breath work. You can calm the mental field to reduce over-identification. So practice with mindfulness can reduce the thoughts that are generated from your beliefs, even if you are still maintaining the beliefs. Next, we have emotions as a structure within you. Emotions are energetic messages that move through the body. You feel them, but they are not you. They are not your identity. Another saying for emotion is you can use E, energy in motion, to represent the flow. And they're created from an experience filtered through beliefs. So the idea is you can't have a emotion or feeling about something unless you hold a belief about that something. So we can understand this through, say, the example of if something's just untrue about you and your experience, then you would feel nothing. So if someone came up to you and yelled at you about your red shirt that they hate, but you're wearing a blue shirt, then instead of having a negative response, you'd just be like, this doesn't apply to me. I don't know what you're saying. And it can overall have no effect on you because it's not related through your beliefs. You're not wearing a blue shirt, so it's not affecting you. So if you have the beliefs set up so that it won't affect you, then you won't be affected. Another example I like to use is road rage. What's the difference between, say, a sage or saint, a guru type person, and a typical road rager, when they get cut off in traffic, it's the held belief that the person who cut you off is maybe personally attacking you, disregarding you, that sort of thing that turns the road rager angry, and they may carry that throughout their day. But to the saint or guru, they're fine letting that person have that space in front of them. It doesn't really affect them in their mind. They're saying, sure, you can have that space, friend. You must need it more than me, or something to that like. So it's the example of the same incident, but different reactions to it. And before we discussed responsibility, the ability to respond. Um, that's an example of the sage being able to respond instead of just reacting like the road rager does. So some ways to align your emotions. Number one, address the negative beliefs within you. Next, we have somatic tracking. Ask yourself where it is in the body. If you notice, emotions tend to have maps that you can see scientifically. It might be like anger is in the chest or in the head, sort of like heat maps, right? Love is in the heart area, that sort of thing. If you know where it exists, you can more easily identify it. You can use emotional release techniques like shaking, sound, healing, breath, or tears are typically understood to be emotional overflow and allowing yourself to release held emotion. If we don't fully process emotions when they arise, they can be stored within yourself, your energy body, your emotional body. And those things need to be cleared out to complete integration. I said earlier, naming works in a lot of our structures. If you can name the structure, you're separating yourself from it. You're no longer identifying with it. So there's no story. You can name it. If you're feeling sad, this is sadness. I'm feeling sad because, well, you want to say more sadness is here versus I'm sad. This creates an identification. So I'm feeling sadness. Sadness is here versus I am. Next, safe expression spaces. So journaling, movement, voice toning, group therapy, even. There's all ways to bring that emotion out of yourself and be able to integrate. Next structure is the negative ego. The ego itself is a necessary navigation tool for our 3D experience, but it's not the true self. It's a protective structure made of past experiences and social adaptations. Negative ego arises when we ask the ego to do things it's not meant to do. So you can think of the negative ego as a lens in front of your eyes. It allows you to experience 3D reality, and it's very good at this and can be very helpful and a very useful tool. But when you start asking the lens to, say, predict the future, the lens is like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at that, but I'll try. So it starts to adapt negative responses and eventually turn into the navigator instead of just the lens. So in a car example, negative ego is when it's in the driver's seat. We want to be our true selves in the driver's seat with negative ego in the passenger seat. Ways to align your negative ego is shadow work, mirror journaling. And don't worry if you don't know what some of these actions are. We'll be covering them later to do more in-depth discovery of what we can do when working on ourselves. So shadow work is basically trying to uncover the parts of ourselves that we are unaware of or avoiding. One prompt you can use is, what part of me do I hide to be accepted? We can use role mapping, identify your personas. So things like, do you have a people pleaser persona? Do you have an achiever persona? Do you have a rebel persona? People pleasers sound like needing to appease the people around them. Achievers typically had parents who expected high levels of achievement from them, so they created that sort of negative aspect with themselves. If you were highly controlled in childhood, you may have developed a rebel that instantly responds, don't tell me what to do, sort of thoughts and beliefs. Next way is authentic action. Do the opposite of what the mask wants and show it that you're okay. Because remember, the negative aspects are trying to protect us. So if you prove that you're okay, even doing the things that it wants to protect you from, then that's a way to align it. You can hold a sort of ceremony for yourself, which is a permission slip. These are all permission slips, remember, by the way. By holding, say, a mask ceremony, you can have a symbolic removal of outdated ego roles or beliefs. Some things people like to do is putting a belief on a piece of paper and then lighting it on fire to symbolize releasing it. And that allows part of themselves to actually let it go when they are having trouble doing so otherwise. Next structure we have is our conditioning and programming. These are our inherited behaviors and thought loops from our parents, culture, religion, society, etc. It runs like software in the background. There's a saying from some scientists that 95% of an unaware person's life is born from subconscious programs. So this is the idea of who's in the driver's seat. Do you want it to be your subconscious or your true self? How do we align our conditioning and programming? One way is to do reparenting practices. Give yourself the permission or experience your inner child never received. So one of the ways is imagining your inner child in an experience and following the methods I explained earlier for integration. We go through those and say if you felt abandoned at some point in your life, you go and in that memory, you give yourself love, a hug, whatever your inner child would need to feel happy in that moment, to not feel abandoned in that moment. The next type of alignment, we can use cultural inquiry. You can ask, whose voice is this really? So this is the idea of, is it truly me, or am I carrying someone else's baggage? If it's your baggage, it doesn't hold any weight. Um, your bags don't weigh anything, only other people's bags do. From the sense of the true self. True self's baggage does not weigh anything, only other people's baggage. So if you feel held down, it can only be other people's baggage that you're holding on to. So by asking whose voice is this really, you can understand or recognize things that you're carrying on from some external source versus it being from your internal voice. Another way to align is ancestral clearing or ritual. You can acknowledge inherited patterns and release them symbolically. You see this in indigenous cultures a lot. You can do silence retreats or sensory resets to temporarily step out of collective programming. Idea is doing something that's not typical in your society. So you typically aren't silent for long periods of the day or even longer. We see this with monks. They may do weeks or months of silence to erase their conditioning or programming. Next, we have trauma or nervous system responses as a structure. Trauma shapes behavior in our perception. It is not who you are. It's a protective pattern, not an identity. Some stay in survival mode for longer than is healthy, and this means that they're not allowed to go into their rest and digest stages physiologically. Some ways to align your trauma. You can do a titration and pendulation or somatic experiencing. You gently oscillate between safe and triggering stimuli. This is somewhat like slow introduction to a triggering response. You can think of if you're afraid of crowds from a trauma, you would slowly be introduced to more and more people to face that trauma. Next, you can do safe co-regulation, healing in the presence of someone who can hold the space. You can do body-based practices like TRE, tremor release, grounding, vagus nerve exercises. Reframing is important in trauma. Like the I survived affirmation, that was part of my story, not the whole of me. And then for anyone who has trauma, I do recommend a trauma-informed therapist to be able to help you to work through that in an intimate state. Next, we have the subconscious or inner parts. Your subconscious holds emotional memory, belief systems, archetypes, and unintegrated aspects of yourself. It is a layer of you, but not the you that is aware of it. Some ways to align the subconscious is inner child work, speak to the part frozen in time. Subconscious and unconscious can be more directly experienced through dreams. So dream journaling and active imagination can help you address what's going on and decode symbols from the unconscious. So in the idea of we create our reality, there's a lot of symbology that goes on. That's why You may have seen things like dream meanings, dream readings. Um, it's not typically one-to-one. What you see in a dream is reflecting in your reality. So you have to interpret the symbols of what's going on in your dreams. You can have parts dialogue with yourself. Let your parts speak to reveal their needs and fears. And you can do regression meditation or journey work to reconnect with your origins of fragmentation. Next, we have our external identity structures like your name, your role, your reputation, and your attachment to these. These are obvious, but we tend to not think of them. All right, so you're not your name, you're not your role, you're not your reputation. But if I asked you who you are, you'd probably give your name, your role, your reputation, something like that. But that's an attachment to a structure, not your true self. How to align some of these, you can do identity fasting. So you can intentionally pause aspects of identity, like taking a break from your job, from a role. Taking a vacation kind of falls into this. You can do authenticity dares. You can speak, act, or express without the should of your role. So this is the idea of not acting how blah, 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 blah should from the external point. So being yourself without restriction. You can do embodied role reversal. So sort of acting out a reversal of the role, acting as if you aren't in that role. And you can do something totally out of character to release attachment. So an example of this would be maybe wearing some typically considered wacky clothing when you're in a role of, say, like a judge or something who has to be serious and present themselves seriously all the time, to detach yourself from how you think things, quote unquote, should be. So to recap, you are not your thoughts, beliefs, roles, trauma, or emotions. You are the awareness that holds them, the consciousness that can choose them, integrate them, or release them. These structures are useful when they are properly integrated, but they are not sovereign, they are not you. And permission slips help you to relate to them consciously rather than be ruled by them. And this week, I invite you to try these integration techniques. First off, practice identifying. Increase your awareness this week so that you notice where you're not being you. Start to notice what labels you're using. Events in reality are typically neutral. So what are you turning negative? And even what are you turning positive? Just notice them. The idea is, say a common one I see is labeling days of the week as negative or positive. So commonly people are labeling, say, Friday as happy day. It's the end of the week. And then the rest of the days get the assignment of negative because it's not Friday. So you're turning those days negative by labeling Friday positive. Or you have to go to work Monday through Friday. Those are automatically negatively labeled and not allowing you to experience what they could be in the moment. So here I'll leave some time for questions. Does anybody have any questions? All right, no questions for today. So thank you all, and I'll go ahead and start up our weekly meditation for those of you who want to stick around for that. So let's go ahead by trying to remember the previous grounding state that we had earlier. Sort of relax into the previous state you had held. Make sure you're sitting in a way that feels upright, but it's supported. Feet flat. Hands resting on your lap or by your sides. Or if you feel like it, you can be lying down. And when you're ready, allow your eyes to close or soften your gaze while staring at the screen. Let's take a few moments to simply return to the body, to the breath, and to now. Let's notice our breath. Allow it to be. There's no need to change it. Just observe your natural rhythm. This meditation, I'll be inviting you to remember who you are beneath all the stories, your roles, your thoughts, and labels. Allow your breath to slow. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Let gravity hold you. Feel the support of the earth. With each breath, have the idea that you're allowing yourself to let go of everything you're not. Let go of today. Let go of yesterday. Let go of tomorrow. You are only here and now. You don't need to force it, try. Just arrive into the stillness of now. Bring your awareness to your name, just your name, the one people call you. Say it silently in your mind and gently let it go. You are not your name. Now bring in your role, what you do in the world. A parent, a student, an artist, a healer, a professional. Say it like you wear a coat and gently set it aside. You are not your roles. Now let's think of your age, your gender, your appearance. Notice it like a shape in the mirror. Then let the mirror fog over and let the shape fade. You are not your image. Now let's feel some of the emotions we've been carrying. Don't resist, just notice. Is there any fear, hope, sadness, excitement? Picture them all as waves moving across your ocean. Let each one rise and fall and fade. You're not your emotions. You're not your emotions. Now let's go ahead and notice some thoughts that you've been having. Anything that pops up. Observe them like birds flying through the sky. Fast, slow, heavy, empty, but all temporary. You are not your thoughts. Now imagine walking into a wide, silent chamber. You've passed through every layer of identity, and now there is only you. No mask, no history, no role. Just awareness, just breath, just this. Say silently to yourself, I am. Go ahead and repeat that a few times to yourself. I am. And that's it. Nothing more is needed. Let the words echo in the chamber of your being. I am. And again, I am. Not I am this or I am that, just I am. Feel it in your breath. Feel it in the stillness. Feel how everything arises within that I am. Your body exists inside it. Your story exists inside it. This I am remains unchanged. Let the I am fill the space around you. Be with it. No effort, no question, just presence. With each inhale, sense the I. With each exhale, sense the am. Inhale, I. Exhale, am. Let it become the rhythm beneath thought. Let it become your home frequency. Remember, this is the true self, awareness. I am. sit here for a few minutes, allowing yourself to be. Now we'll go ahead and return. Begin to notice your breath again. Begin to feel your body again. Not as who you were, but as who you are. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes again gently and carry this awareness with you, not as a thought, but as your essence. Thank you all for joining today. Hope you have a good week. Love you all.